Well, as I was a-saying, he bought that old ram from a feller up in Siskiyou County and fetched him home and turned him loose in the medder. And next morning he went down to have a look at him and accidentally dropped a 10-cent piece in the grass and stooped down, and was fumbling around in the grass to get it, and the ram he was a-standing up the slope taking notice. But my grandfather wasn't taking notice, because he had his back to the ram and was interested about the dime. Well, there he was, as I was a-saying, down at the foot of the slope, a-bending over, fumbling in the grass. And the ram, he was up there at the top of the slope, and Smith was a-standing there. No, not just there, a little further away, 15 foot perhaps. Well, my grandfather was stooping way down, and the ram was up there observing, and the ram, he bent his head down Smith of Calaveras. No, it couldn't have been Smith of Calaveras. I remember now that by George, it was Smith of Tulare County. Of course it was. I remember it now perfectly plain. Well, Smith, he just stood there, and my grandfather, he stood just here, and he was a-bending down just fumbling in the grass, and when the old ram see him in that attitude, he took it for an invitation. And here he come down the slope 30 mile an hour, and his eye full of business. You see my grandfather's back being to him, and him stooping down like that, of course it won't Smith of Tulare at all, it was Smith of Sacramento. My goodness, how did I ever come to get them Smiths mixed like that? Why, Smith of Tulare was just a nobody, but Smith of Sacramento. Why, the Smiths of Sacramento come of the best Southern blood in the United States. There weren't ever any better blood south of the line than the Sacramento Smiths. Why, look here, one of them buried a Whitaker. I reckon that gives you an idea of the kind of society the Sacramento Smiths could associate around in. There ain't no better blood than the Whitaker blood. I reckon anybody'll tell you that. Look at Mariah Whitaker. There was a girl for you. Little? Why, yes, she was little, but what of that? Look at the heart of her. Had a heart like a bullock. Just as good and sweet and lovely and generous as the day is long. If she had a thing and you wanted it, you could have it and welcome. Why, Mariah Whitaker couldn't have a thing and another person needed and not get it and welcome. She had a glass eye, and she used to lend it to Flora Ann Baxter that hadn't any, to receive company with. Well, she was pretty large, and it didn't fit. It was a number 7, and she was excavated for 14, and so that eye wouldn't lay still. Every time she winked, it would turn over. It was a beautiful eye, and set her off admirable, because it was a lovely pale blue on the front side, the side you look out of, and it was gilded on the back side. Didn't match the other eye, which was one of them browny, yellery eyes, and tranquil and quiet, the way that kind of eyes are, but that weren't any matter. They worked together all right and plenty picturesque. When Flora Ann winked, that blue and gilt eye would whirl over and the other one stand still, and as soon as she begun to get excited, that handmade eye would give a whirl and then go on a whirling and a whirling, faster and faster, and a flash, and first blue and then yeller, and then blue and then yeller, and when it came to whizzing and flashing like that, the oldest man in the world couldn't keep up with the expression on that side of her face. Flora Ann Baxter married a Hagedorn. I reckon that lets you understand what kind of blood she was. Old Maryland, Eastern Shore blood. Not a better family in the United States than the Hagedorns. Sally That's Sally Hagedorn. Sally married a missionary, and they went off carrying the good news to the cannibals out in one of them way-off islands around the world in the middle of the ocean somewheres. And they had her. Had him, too, which was irregular, and weren't accustomed to eat the missionary, but only the family. And when they see what they had done, they was dreadful sorry about it, and when the relations sent down there to fetch away the things, they said so. Said so right out. Said they were sorry and apologized, and said it shouldn't happen again. Said 'twas an accident. Accident? Now that's foolishness. There ain't no such thing as an accident. There ain't nothing happens in the world but what's ordered just so by a wiser power than us, and it's always for a good purpose. We don't know what the good purpose was sometimes, and it was the same with the families that was short a missionary and his wife. But that ain't no matter, and it ain't any of our business. All that concerns us is that it was a special providence and it had a good intention. No, sir, there ain't no such thing as an accident. Whenever a thing happens that you think is an accident, you make up your mind it ain't no accident at all. It's a special providence. You look at my Uncle Lem. What do you say to that? That's all I ask you. You just look at my Uncle Lem and talk to me about accidents. It was like this. One day, my Uncle Lem and his dog was downtown, and he was leaning up against the scaffolding, sick or drunk or something, and there was an Irishman with a heart of bricks up the ladder along about the third story, and his foot slipped, and down he come, bricks and all, and hit a stranger fair and square, and knocked the everlasting aspirations out of him. He was ready for the coroner in 2 minutes. Now then, people said it was an accident. Accident? There weren't no accident about it. 'Twas a special providence, and had a mysterious, noble intention back of it. The idea was to save that Irishman. If the stranger hadn't been there, that Irishman would have been killed. The people said, special providence? Sure, the dog was there. Why didn't the Irishman fall on the dog? Why weren't the dog appointed? For a mighty good reason. The dog would have seen him a-coming. You can't depend on no dog to carry out a special providence. You couldn't hit a dog with an Irishman because, let me see, what was that dog's name? Yes, Jasper, and a mighty good dog, too. He wasn't no common dog. He wasn't no mongrel. He was a composite. A composite dog is a dog that's made up of all the valuable qualities that's in the dog breed. Kind of a syndicate. And a mongrel is made up of the riffraff that's left over. That Jasper was one of the most wonderful dogs you ever see. Uncle Lem got him of the Wheelers. I reckon you've heard of the Wheelers. Ain't no better blood south of the line than the Wheelers. Well, one day, Wheeler was a-meditating and dreaming around in the carpet factory, and the machinery made a snatch at him, and first, you know, he was a-meandering all over that factory from the garret to the cellar, and everywhere at such another gait as, why, you couldn't even see him. You could only hear him whiz when he went by. Well, you know a person can't go through an experience like that and arrive back home the way he was when he went. No, Wheeler got wove up into 39 yards of best 3-ply carpeting. The widow was sorry. She was uncommon sorry, and loved him and done the best she could for him in the circumstances, which was unusual. She took the whole piece, 39 yards, and she wanted to give him proper and honorable burial, but she couldn't bear to roll him up. She took and spread him out full length and said she wouldn't have it any other way. She wanted to buy a tunnel for him, but there wasn't any tunnel for sale, So she boxed him in a beautiful box and stood it on the hill on a pedestal 21 foot high. And so it was monument engraved together and economical, 60 feet high. You could see it from everywhere, and she painted on it, "To the loving memory of 39 yards, best 3-ply carpeting, containing the mortal remainders of Millington G. Wheeler. Go thou and do likewise."